Hey y'all, it's Maddie. I wanted to talk to you guys about a question that I get asked a ton of times, and from my clients, friends, and just people. And that is, how did I get into this industry? Mainly permanent makeup and doing eyebrows. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about kind of how it all started. So back when I was a teenager, when I was 15 years old, it was the era that thin was in, which was like the little line across your face of eyebrows. Basically, we were looking like aliens. I don't know why we thought that was cool, but anyways, it was super in. And of course, I needed to be in, and I need my eyebrows just like that as well. So I used to pluck them. I had very fine hair, and I actually had a pretty good shape eyebrow, but I wanted them super thin. So I used to pluck them and things like that to get them to the thin shape. Well, one day I didn't feel like plucking them, and because I was being lazy, and like I said, I was 15 years old, and I decided to take a razor blade and trim them up with a razor blade. So when I did that, of course, it didn't turn out too well. Half of my eyebrow I accidentally shaved off. And of course, I had to fix the other side to make it even, which we're always doing because eyebrows, if you don't know, and especially back then, we all thought eyebrows were twins. Little did we know they're sisters. But anyway, so I had to try to match the other eyebrow, and I pretty much jacked my eyebrows up. I got pissed, and I shaved them off. So I basically had no eyebrows at 15 years old, which was very hard to deal with. But thank God that back then the thin line was in. So what did I do? Just draw a little thin line across my face with an eyebrow pencil. But to try to get them even though it was super thin, it was still hard to try to make them even every day. So I basically had to draw my eyebrows or fill them in for years. I mean, my hairs did grow back, but it was never the same. They never grew back the same. And still, I wanted a really good shape because I'm a perfectionist. I'm always trying to perfect everything. So, and I probably have a little bit of OCD on my eyebrows or period, which I know a lot of you guys do too because I deal with it almost every day. But it is an issue that is real. So I used to have to pencil them in every day till I was like 19, 20 years old. And I got so tired of it. Like, it was so tiring. And especially as eyebrows started evolving, like changing, then I would try to change it with what was in style, and things like that, which you can still do with permanent makeup. But anyway, not to get off topic. So when I had seen some people with eyebrows done, either tattooed or permanent makeup, and I was scared because back then they didn't have like the technology that they have now, or the techniques or anything like that. It was basically you either had a blue, green, purple, or like a reddish eyebrow. And some of them looked good and some of them looked horrendous, which still happens today, but you know what I mean, especially back then. So I was super scared, but I got so tired of drawing them in every day that one day I was just like, you know what? I have seen a couple girls with some permanent makeup and it didn't look horrible. So I was like, I'm gonna draw it. So I drew out my eyebrows, spent like an hour to make sure they were like perfectly even. Everything was perfect. And I went to the lady and I was like, can you do a fair, like a light color eyebrow over my design? Mind you, back then they didn't have, like I'm saying it like a monk, but anyways, I'm not that one. But back then they didn't have the technology or like the color technology that they have today. So I didn't want it too dark. I wanted something that I could still cover with my pencil, so I could still like change it up a little bit, but have the design or the evenness to where I didn't have to struggle with that every day, because that was like so freaking frustrating trying to get them even every day. So she went in, I went into her, and basically I had them already drawn on, and I was like, can you just color in what I already have? And she was like, yeah. So she did it, and it freaking hurt, and I was bleeding everywhere. It was crazy. But yeah, so I did it. When I first came out, I was like, oh my God, they were so dark. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, okay. She said they're gonna get lighter. She said they're gonna get lighter. And I was like, if worst comes to worst, I'll just cover it with makeup. But anyways, they ended up peeling to like barely anything, but they were still there. So I was super happy because I didn't have to even them out every day. So I just basically took either a little bit of powder or a little pencil and kind of filled them in to make them look a little more natural, because they still had like an orangey tint to them. but I was still super happy. Like, it changed my life. It gave me confidence because I could still take a shower and still have eyebrows. Like, I could still go in the pool and still have something on there. I wasn't so self-conscious about it because it was super, self-conscious. If you have a boyfriend or anything, you couldn't wash your face because, like, you're not gonna have no eyebrows. Which actually happened one time. I washed it. It was like, what happened to your eyebrows? But anyways, that was that. But anyway, so yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence. And what happened was then when I got a little bit older, I would say I think I was like 22, I was super into makeup my whole life, super into skin and everything like that. So I went to aesthetic school and I started like obviously like, looking up. Back then they didn't have like the social media they had now, but like we still had, I think we might have had like YouTube, or if we had online stuff that you could still look up makeup stuff and like what was the hottest makeup trend and stuff like that. So I would look up all that and be super into it. But I definitely was into eyebrows because I had been drawing them for so long, like forever. Like, that was my thing, is eyebrows, 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 eyebrows. So my friends used to ask me after I got into aesthetic school and was really good with makeup. They would always, every time we would go somewhere, need their eyebrows done, no matter what. Like, forget everything else. They always needed me to do their eyebrows, or if they had a friend that was doing something, I would do their makeup and their eyebrows and stuff like that. But mainly everybody's freaking eyebrows, which would take forever. So what happened was I started drawing, and my boyfriend at the time was like, why don't you do what you did and draw them in and bring her to my best friend and bring her to the lady so you don't have to do your eyebrows. And I was like, that's a freaking amazing idea. So I drew hers in, brought her to the lady. She went through the same thing, bleeding everywhere. But I didn't have to draw them no more. She had an outline so she could color them in. And one thing led to another. Everybody kept saying, oh, I love your eyebrows, her eyebrows. And everybody started asking me to draw their eyebrows and bring them to the lady. And then, years kind of went by. My friend was like, oh, why don't you just get into it? And I was like, no, I'm super scared. Everybody's bleeding everywhere. Like, what if I mess somebody up? Blah, blah, blah. But as I saw the techniques in the industry evolve, my friend actually pushed me, my best friend, Jackie, she actually pushed me to say, yo, you're really good at it. You've been doing it your whole life practically, and why don't you just learn how to do it? So what did I do? I learned how to do it after the techniques started getting really evolved. So, and I wasn't as scared. I was like, wow, they come out really pretty. So I researched really awesome trainers, which shout out to all my trainers that have ever trained me. I have a few, and I continue to learn every year, go to conferences, go to training, new training techniques, things like that, and just always doing research and stuff like that. But yeah, so I spent a long time and a lot of money on training and research, and I still do it today. Yeah, and I'll do another story on how I wasn't afraid to start a business. But basically, that's how I started in this industry of permanent makeup. So I hope you guys like my story. Thanks.